Good morning. I'm Kathy Chase, President of Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety. Since 1989, Advocates has brought together public health, safety, consumer, and law enforcement organizations and property casualty insurance industry leaders in furtherance of improving roadway safety for all. Thank you for joining us today. This event is being live streamed and recorded, and it is on the record. Following the speaker's remarks, we will take questions from the media. Online viewers wishing to submit a question should use the Q&A link on our website, saferoads.org. We are proud to gather today with a distinguished panel of safety stakeholders to release the 2026 Roadmap to Safety and assert, as our cover states, that it is go time for safer roads. This report is a call to action for our elected officials to address the ongoing crisis of motor vehicle crashes. It serves as a guide and a challenge to enact proven safety measures throughout the nation. In 2023, nearly 41,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes in the U.S. That is the equivalent of a mid-sized city like Littleton, Colorado, York, Pennsylvania, or Concord, New Hampshire, disappearing from the map, and it is happening every year. An additional 2.4 million people were injured in crashes in 2023, which is more than the entire population of the state of New Mexico. In addition to the physical and emotional pain, these crashes incur massive economic costs, reaching an estimated $429 billion this year alone. To put that number into perspective, it is nearly the entire gross domestic product, or GDP, of the state of Tennessee in 2024, and constitutes a crash tax of nearly $1,258 for each person living in the United States. We cannot allow ourselves to accept this as inevitable when numerous proven solutions can stop them. On the federal level, discussions are already happening on the reauthorization of the Surface Transportation Bill, set to expire in September of 2026. Every reauthorization bill in recent history has included significant safety advances, and this one must as well. The special feature in the report is dedicated to this critical effort. On the state level, improvements are needed in all areas identified in our report: seatbelt use, all rider motorcycle helmet laws, child passenger safety, young and novice driver inexperience, impaired driving, distracted driving, speeding, and red light running. In total, 534 laws and provisions need to be advanced. You will see that in our report, we rate all 50 states and DC in each issue area as red, yellow, or green, based on their progress toward adopting the optimal laws and provisions. They are then given an overall rating. No state gets a perfect score in this report, and sadly, only 5 states and DC received a green or good rating. The 5 are Maryland, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Washington State. 9 states received a red or danger rating. They are Idaho, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Wyoming. The remaining 36 states received a yellow or caution rating. With traffic fatalities 26% higher than their historic low point in 2011 and injuries 10% higher, state lawmakers and Congress must prioritize improving the safety of road users as they begin to shape their agendas for the 2026 legislative sessions. It is go time for safer roads. I'd like to welcome today's speakers to share their insights and personal stories, and I would like to thank Advocates Board of Directors, represented here by 2026 Consumer Co-Chair Chris Olson and Insurer Co-Chair Erica Rosso, for their invaluable support. It is now my pleasure to welcome Congressman Chris Pappas of New Hampshire's 1st Congressional District. In the U.S. House of Representatives, he serves on the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, among other numerous responsibilities. In the impaired driving section of this year's report, we feature Congressman Pappas and his Republican counterpart, Congressman Tracy Mann of Kansas, for their bill, the End DWI Act. We are grateful for Congressman Pappas's safety leadership in Congress and glad he can join us here today. Congressman.
Thanks, Kathy. Well, thank you very much, Kathy, for setting up this conversation here today and for presenting this roadmap. I have to tell you that it's critically important that policymakers at the federal and state level have data, have this sort of an evaluation to understand where there are gaps and what steps need to be taken to create safer roadways. We all share the goal of reducing traffic-related fatalities, reducing accidents on our roadways, and we've got a responsibility to do that. Here in Washington, we're working hard, and I want to give you a sense of some of the opportunities we have this session in Congress. But I want to thank the Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety for bringing us here together. This is an organization that brings together stakeholders from across our country, from law enforcement, from the industry, from the public and private sector, families who have been impacted, that help us understand the opportunities that we have to get things done and to create safer communities. I'm glad that we're able to pursue a common sense agenda here in Washington at a moment where it appears that things are really divided. There's a lot that unites us, especially when it comes to transportation and infrastructure and safe roadways. And so I've worked closely with my colleague Tracy Mann from Kansas to pass new legislation in Congress that will help us combat impaired driving and support important efforts to reduce fatalities. We reintroduced the NDWI Act in the House earlier this year because every life lost to impaired driving isn't just a tragedy, it's a preventable tragedy. And we need to better address drunk driving and strengthen efforts to prevent repeated offenses. My home state of New Hampshire and others are leading the way with mandatory first-time offender ignition interlock laws, which are proven to reduce repeated drunk driving. We're fighting to create national ignition interlock standards that will make roads safer for drivers, passengers, and everyone on them. One of the reasons our legislation shows promise is that we know that repeat offenders are commonplace. The average drunk driver has driven drunk 80 times before their first arrest. Studies have shown that the use of ignition interlock reduces recidivism by up to 70% in first-time, repeat, and high-risk offenders. So it's a simple step that makes sense. And as we mark National Impaired Driving Prevention Month this December, this is a great time to advocate for legislation like this and also to raise awareness about the danger of drunk driving and driving under the influence. The U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reported that 39,000 people died in traffic crashes in the United States last year. We have seen a decrease, 3.8% decline from 2023, but even just one fatality, one family and one community that's impacted is one too many. So we need to do more, especially to stop alcohol impaired driving, which historically accounts for about 30% of the nation's traffic deaths. Representative Mann and I are once again introducing a resolution in the House to recognize December as National Impaired Driving Prevention Month because we know that impaired driving crashes increase during the holiday month. So while we fight to pass legislation that will reduce traffic deaths, this month is also a time to remind people to make a plan for a safe, sober ride home, to be aware of the hazards out there on the roadways, and to make sure that you understand that traffic increases around the holidays. The number of people on the roadways is significantly higher this time of year. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's crash data shows that deaths have reduced in the first half of this year thanks to the efforts of so many advocates. But we have to keep this momentum going, and we have to have zero tolerance for impaired driving in our country. We have a great opportunity this particular session of Congress as we think about surface reauthorization for transportation, for the highway program, to not just talk about dollars and cents, but talk about the kinds of policy changes that are going to create safer roadways and are going to save lives. And so I'm committed to doing that. I think this is a bipartisan initiative in terms of the NDWI Act that we can absolutely get passed, but we can't do it alone. We need folks on the outside to be helping us make the case and to presenting data that can change minds and educate colleagues here in Washington. So thank you for doing that hard work. Grateful to be with you here today, and we wish you all the success at getting this information out all across the country. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman. Next, we will hear from Montana State Representative Mark Lee. He is serving his first term in the Montana House of Representatives and already has achieved passage of a bill he introduced to upgrade the state's child passenger safety law. In addition to serving Montanans as an elected official, he is a fire department captain and EMT. Representative Lee is featured in the child passenger safety section of the roadmap. Thank you, Representative Lee, for traveling here to join us today.
Good morning. I'm Representative Mark Lee, and I proudly represent my hometown of Butte, Montana in the Montana House of Representatives. Additionally, I serve as a captain EMT with the Butte Fire Department, and I'm currently in my 33rd year of public service. I would first like to thank Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety for inviting me to join this event. It is a great honor to help release the 2026 Roadmap to Safety, which is a valuable tool, especially for state legislators like myself. My experience at the fire department drove my passion for child passenger safety. I have unfortunately seen unimaginable tragedies in my career and came to realize that the life of a first responder, while deeply meaningful and important, is a reactionary one. This is why almost 25 years ago, I found a way to help proactively keep kids safe by becoming a child passenger instructor for the state of Montana. This has allowed me to travel our state to teach police officers, firemen, women, healthcare workers, highway patrolmen to become certified child passenger safety technicians. These individuals then use their new skills and knowledge to better ensure safe and proper travel for the children in their own communities. This experience enlightened me about the inadequacies of Montana's child passenger safety laws. Improper restraint remains a leading cause of injury and death among young passengers. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, on average, 3 children under the age of 14 were killed in traffic crashes each day in 2023, a sad and unacceptable reality. So when I was elected to the State House of Representatives, I was determined to upgrade our current law to become more prescriptive and better protect our most vulnerable. On February 19th of this year, I introduced Montana House Bill 586, which clarifies how children should be properly restrained based on their age to best protect them in a crash. This bill made its way through the legislature and was signed into law by our governor only 4 months after it was drafted. I am proud to say that during the committee hearings for the bill, it had 0 opponents, and experts in the field showed up to support this change, including advocates. With no state awarded a green rating for child passenger safety laws in the roadmap report, I urge state legislators in other states to use this as a guide to enacting upgrades in their 2026 legislative sessions. There is simply no reason not to. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Our next speaker is Christy King. Christy is a leading advocate for seatbelt use in Virginia, who shares her personal story with the hopes of making change and inspiring others to buckle up. After starting the Christopher King Foundation in honor of her son, she successfully fought to improve the seatbelt law in Virginia. You can read our profile of Christy's story in the occupant protection section of the report. We are grateful to have Christy as a partner and are so glad she could join us today. Thanks, Christy.
Good morning. I am grateful to be here to tell my story and to help unveil Advocate's 2026 Roadmap to Safety Report. My name is Christy King, and I'm the founder of the Christopher King Foundation. Our mission began with heartbreak. My son, Christopher King, was just 18 years old when he was killed in a car crash. The one time he didn't buckle up. He was riding in the back seat of his friend's new convertible, and that one decision cost him his life. The driver was traveling 40 miles per hour over the speed limit when he lost control of the car and hit a ditch, causing Christopher to be thrown from the vehicle. The other teens in the car survived because they were wearing their seatbelts. I miss Christopher every day. He was the light in every room, full of energy, laughter, and love. He cherished his friends, adored his pets, and had a heart that radiated kindness. His smile was contagious. His dreams were endless. Losing him shattered our world, but we honor his memory by working to prevent other families from enduring such a devastating loss. Two of Christopher's friends, Fred and Alvin, are here with us today. Fred was in the car that night, and because he wore his seatbelt, he survived. Alvin arrived at the crash scene and performed CPR on Christopher, but it was too late. They now volunteer with the foundation and share how this experience has impacted them and how important the simple action of putting on a seatbelt can be. My advocacy started last fall when I discovered a shocking fact. Virginia had the lowest seatbelt usage rate in the country of only 73% of people buckling up, while the national average was around 92%. We knew something had to change, so we worked tirelessly to improve the seatbelt law. This year, the Christopher King seatbelt law, HB 2475, passed and took effect July 1st, requiring all vehicle occupants, regardless of a seating position, to wear a seatbelt. This was the first change in Virginia's adult seatbelt law since 1988. Thank you to advocates for supporting this effort, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to strengthen it even more by making it subject to primary enforcement. Currently, only 35 states and DC have primary enforcement front seatbelt laws. When it comes to the rear seat, that number drops to only 21. Seatbelts are the first line of defense in a crash, and in 2023, nearly half of passenger vehicle occupant fatalities were unrestrained. I encourage state legislators to read this report and enact solutions to save lives. I also urge parents and students to contact your legislators and let them know how important the issue is to you. To anyone hearing this message who still doesn't wear a seatbelt, please listen to me. You may not get a second chance. You may not get to walk away. And your family could be left with the unbearable truth that your death was preventable. I wish every day Christopher had buckled up. I wish I could go back and stop him from getting in the car, but I can't change the past. What I can do, what I will do, is fight to change the future. Please buckle up every trip, every seat, every time. Thank you.
Christy, thank you so much for all of your advocacy and your strength. It's remarkable. Now we'll hear from Chief Chris Olson, who is the Chief of Police for the University of Arizona, a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and the 2026 Consumer Co-Chair of Advocates Board of Director. We are privileged to benefit from Chief Olson's unique insights and are glad he can be here with us this morning. Thank you, Chief.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Kathy and Advocates staff, and congratulations on the release of another incredible and powerful roadmap report. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Olson, and I'm the Chief of Police for the University of Arizona. I am also a Roadway Safety Committee member for the International Associations of Chiefs of Police and the incoming Consumer Co-Chair for Advocates Board of Directors. I'm proud to serve on the board of such an effective organization that works every day to save lives on our nation's roadways, and I'm excited to help present the 2026 Roadmap to Safety Report. As a police officer who has jurisdiction over young drivers on our campus, I want to talk a little about how we need to better ensure they get the experience they need to keep themselves and other road users safe. In 2023, motor vehicle crashes were the #1 killer of teens in the United States. Data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration show that preventable crashes killed 5,133 young drivers between the ages of 15 to 20, which was a 5% increase from the year before. To those families like Christie's, the loss is catastrophic. A young, promising life tragically ended. The lives of those who knew and loved the victims are also forever altered, and we miss out on all the wonderful contributions to society that they would have made. So we have to do better in their memory and prevent other families from having suffer similar tragedies. Teen and young adult novice drivers are more likely to be involved in fatal crashes because they lack driving experience and tend to take greater risks. The good news is that we can work to address those issues. Comprehensive graduated driver licensing programs introduce these young people to the driving experience gradually by phasing in full driving privileges over time and lower risk settings. As noted in the report, no state has a GDL program that meets all the recommended criteria, and some states are going backwards. For instance, Kentucky and North Carolina enacted laws this year that weaken requirements for young drivers. Of all 50 states, California is the only one that has seriously considered a law in the past 2 years that would strengthen its GDL program. We hope they will expand their program to all novice drivers under 21 next year. As a former motorcycle officer, I also want to focus on the need for all riders to wear helmets. Motorcycles are the most hazardous form of motor vehicle transportation, with over 6,300 deaths in 2023. This is the highest annual death toll since data collection began in 1975. 35% of motorcycle riders were killed were not wearing a helmet. We know helmets save lives, and we know that in 2023, states with all rider helmet laws had 8 times fewer fatalities than states without such a law. The solutions outlined in this report are proven to reduce risk of fatalities and injuries. We must get going on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Our next speaker is Erica Rosa, the Consumer Safety Partnership and Program Supervisor at NJM Insurance Group and Advocates Insurance Co-Chair. We are especially grateful for the support of Erica, NJM, and all of our insurance members for their dedication to our life-saving mission and commitment to safe vehicles, safe road users, and safe roadway environments. Thank you, Erica, for your leadership and for joining us today.
Good morning. I'm Erica Rosso with NJM Insurance Group, and I am proud to serve as the Insurance Co-Chair of Advocates Board of Directors. NJM is honored to stand alongside advocates and so many dedicated partners in the mission to make our roadways safer for everyone. Together, we've achieved policy and regulatory advancements that have saved countless lives. Those victories took patience, persistence, and an unwavering commitment to public safety. But with crashes still claiming 112 lives and injuring nearly 6,700 people every single day, our work is far from done. That's why the 2026 Roadmap to Safety Report is so critical. It provides proven, actionable solutions at the local, state, and federal levels that can reduce preventable tragedies on our roads. These recommendations are grounded in research and real-world results, offering lawmakers and communities a clear path towards safer roadway environments. I'm here to speak to you about the incredibly dangerous and all too common behavior of distracted driving. It's a little after 10 a.m. here on the East Coast, and many of you have likely already spotted a driver on your commute who was using their phone in some way. In 2023, 3,275 people were killed in a crash involving a distracted driver, 8% of all crash fatalities that year. We also know these types of crashes are underreported, and so the true extent of this problem is unclear and likely much worse and growing. The percentage of drivers visibly manipulating handheld devices while driving increased by 36% between 2014 and 2023. That is why it is important for every state to pass strong, distracted driving laws to disincentivize this behavior. As noted in the report, 5 states, Alabama, Louisiana, Missouri, Montana, and Nebraska, still do not have a law that prohibits writing, sending, or reading a text message while driving. 23 states need to enact a ban on the use of all cellular devices by novice teen drivers for the duration of their graduated driver licensing programs. We applaud states that are going even further by prohibiting uses of mobile electronic devices that lead to visual and cognitive distractions, which can include watching or recording videos or using technologies like video calls. There are also distraction-related risks from over-reliance on partial driving automation available in newer vehicles. We should make clear that no technology exists today that would allow drivers to take their attention away from the task of driving. We know what works, and the roadmap to safety shows us how to make our roadways safer. There is no time to waste in putting these solutions into action. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. We'll now hear from Sergeant Kelly Ingram of the Paradise Valley, Arizona Police Department. She has been with the department for the past 6 years and has been a sworn officer in Arizona for 15 years, which included time as a collision reconstruction specialist. Sergeant Ingram is featured in the speeding and red light running section of the roadmap report. Thank you so much for traveling here to be with us today, Sergeant Ingram.
Thank you. Good morning. As Kathy mentioned, my name is Sergeant Kelly Ingram with the Paradise Valley Police Department, located in the Phoenix metropolitan area in Arizona. And I am honored to be here today to help unveil the 2026 Roadmap to Safety. I'm a native Arizonan and have been a police officer for more than 15 years. My father served as a police officer and my mother was a firefighter. So public safety has always been a part of my life. I am proud to share that the Paradise Valley Police Department is actually the first law enforcement agency in the country to install automated enforcement. Unfortunately, though, over the last several years, our state legislature has debated multiple bills that would ban the use of speed and red light safety cameras and remove the community's ability to implement its own traffic safety strategies. This year, I was lucky to join our mayor and council members to publicly testify on the benefits of this technology and to help inform lawmakers on common misconceptions. Although one bill passed, it was vetoed by the governor, thankfully, which was an important win for roadway safety in Arizona. As a nation, we need more states to use this proven safety solution. As the report notes, only 28 states and Washington, D.C. authorize automated enforcement, and only 25 of those actually actively use it. This is not acceptable, considering that in 2023, over 11,770 people were killed in speed-related crashes, and 1,086 were killed in red light running crashes across the United States. And that's in addition to the tens of thousands more that were injured. Both as a police officer and as a former collision reconstruction specialist, I have unfortunately seen the catastrophic damage that these crashes inflict on other drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. Those scenes stay with you. This is why safety cameras are needed. Speed safety cameras reduce the likelihood of a crash resulting in death or serious injury by 19%. Red light cameras reduce fatal red light running crashes by 14%, and all deadly crashes at signalized intersections by 21%. In Paradise Valley, our highest posted speed limit is 40 miles per hour, yet this year alone, we had a record driver traveling at 125 miles an hour. Police officers like Chief Olson and me cannot be everywhere at once to protect the public. And that's why speed and red light cameras support our safety mission, and I urge the states not currently using them to start doing so in an effort to make our roads safer for all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. I would now like to welcome Vicki Brown. Vicki has been on the front line in the battle against drunk driving as a volunteer for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MADD, in honor of her son Darius, who was killed in an impaired driving crash in 2004. Thank you, Vicki, for sharing your story and for being here with us today. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much for inviting me to speak today on behalf of MADD. Again, my name is Victoria Brown. Most people call me Vicki. My son's name is Darius Javon Brown, a name that took me almost 4 years to say again after a drunk driver took my baby's life on May 30th, 2004. He was only 12 years old. As a mother, it sounds crazy not to be able to say your child's name, But that was me. I could not speak my son's name or look at any of his pictures. It was just too hard for me to do. All my heart knew was I could never see my son in person again. I could never talk to him again. I could never watch him play sports again. I could never see him drive. I could never hold him again. I could never, ever, ever, ever see that big, beautiful, bright smile of his. All I have is a lot of I'll never. Because in our home state of Maryland, a drunk driver going approximately 125 miles per hour hit my family, splitting our car in half, causing our car to do a couple of 360s, rolling over before ending in an upright position and killing Darius. Whew. A young man who loved people, loved to smile, loved to make people smile, a young man who loved his baby sister, a young man who was well-mannered, polite, respectful, and everyone that knew him loved him. Doing something as simple as coming home from the movies. Who would have thought it would be the last time I would go to the movies with my son? The last time I would talk to my son? The last time I would see my son? And to be left with nothing but onlys. I'll never, ever. The impact of Darius' death is felt deeply, day by day, by so many. My daughter, Aaliyah continues to live with survivor's guilt. 10 minutes before the crash, Darius switched places with Aaliyah, moving her from the window seat to the center of the car before putting on her seatbelt to make sure that she was safe. Aaliyah knows that Darius saved her life. And she should have been sitting in the seat and not her brother. Because of her survivor guilt, Aaliyah lives with not truly being happy with all of her accomplishments. She too lives with I'll never ever. This trauma to my family is not an isolated incident. The fact is, drunk driving is a violent, preventable crash. Still of epidemic proportions, deaths caused by this crime have actually increased historically in years. Only recently have we experienced slightly decreases of 12,429 people killed in 2023. That's our most recent data. But let that sink in. More than 12,000 people, one person every 42 minutes, died because of a drunk driver. It's crazy. We are not celebrating the number is lower than before. This is something that's so unacceptable. There are laws that states can pass right now to help stop this crisis on our roads. And the advocates' reports tell us that proven measures can be put in place. These laws, such as requiring all convicted drunk drivers to install an ignition interlock in their cars, make it illegal to have an open container in a vehicle, and lower the state's BAC law to 0.05%, all backed research and data. The thing this year's report is, it's go time. And truly, it is go time. States and federal leaders can take actions now on solutions to identify in the roadmap report. Because the work in my home state of Maryland I was proud to help pass Noah's Law, one of the nation's most effective ignition interlock laws. Now, offenders who get plea deals or even offenders on probation before judgment have to drive with these devices in their cars. It proves that to prove that they will stay sober without risking their lives or the lives of other people. It took a lot of work and way too many years to get Noah's Law passed. It shouldn't be that way. Every state should have this law, and that is why MAD is backing the Congressional NDWI Act, the bipartisan bill to require all states to adopt the ignition interlock law, all laws and for all drunk drivers offenders. It's time for Congress to pass the life-saving law to protect families nationwide. We know that technology can stop someone from driving drunk and save lives when people refuse to make the right decision. That's why the federal law passed in November 2021 gives me and so many other victims and survivors hope that there will be a day when no other family and no other community will be impacted by drunk driving or impaired driving. The law requires new cars to come equipped with anti-drunk driving technology that will save more than 10,000 lives and present hundreds of thousands of injuries a year. I want to take a moment to thank the advocates for being a partner with MAD. Really, thank you. To get this technology done. The technology exists. And to quote the chief safety officer of one of the companies building the technology, this is no longer a technology issue. It's a policy issue. We need Congress, the administration, the industries to prioritize anti-drunk driving technologies built into new cars. Every day that goes by, 34 more people will be killed by this crime. After a drunk driver killed my son Darius, I absolutely made this a promise to do everything that I could to prevent other families to live this nightmare. Because it is a nightmare. On behalf of my family, on behalf of my son Darius, MAD, and all the victim survivors, I want to thank everyone here for the work that you do to stop these tragedies. It truly will take all of us to do this. Thank you to the advocates for providing every state with a clear roadmap to close dangerous gaps in the traffic safety laws. I'm here to urge lawmakers, please act now. Every life saved means one less family living with this pain. Thank you to everyone, and please stay safe. Thank you. I need a hug. Thank you.
Ooh. Thank you, Vicki, for you are a fierce warrior. I've lobbied on Capitol Hill with Vicki many times, and it's an honor and privilege to do so. And we will not give up the fight until there are no more drunk driving deaths on our roads. Lastly, Congressman Tracy Mann of Kansas could not be here with us in person, but was kind enough to provide taped remarks. Congressman Mann serves the 1st Congressional District of Kansas and is a member of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, among other responsibilities. He is the lead sponsor of the End DWI Act with Congressman Pappas. We thank Congressman Mann for his leadership in making our roads safer. Thank you and enjoy this video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Tracy Mann, and I want to thank Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety for inviting me to help mark the release of the 2026 Roadmap to Safety Report. I wish I could be with you in person today, but I'm grateful for the chance to share a few words about the work we are doing together to make America's roads safer. First, thank you for the leadership you provide year after year to prevent crashes, save lives, and reduce the physical, emotional, and financial burden that traffic fatalities inflict on families and communities. Your work matters. It strengthens our communities, supports law enforcement and first responders, and gives policymakers clear, data-driven solutions that protect people in every part of the country. This year's Roadmap to Safety report makes it clear we still have major challenges on our roadways. 2023, more than 40,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes across the United States. Nearly 1/3 of those deaths involved alcohol-impaired driving. That means that roughly every 42 minutes, A family somewhere in America loses a loved one to a tragedy that is entirely preventable. We cannot stop working until that number is zero. As a representative of 60 primarily rural counties in Congress, families often drive long distances for school, work, medical care, and everything in between. Road safety is not just an abstract policy discussion. For me, it is personal. Kansans depend on reliable roads, responsible drivers, and common sense laws to keep our communities safe. I'm proud that Kansas has already implemented both impaired driving laws recommended in this year's report, including our all-offender ignition interlock law, which continues to save lives. But we know the job is not finished. Too many states still lack the basic protections that have proven effective in places like Kansas. That is why I reintroduced the End DWI Act earlier this year. My bipartisan bill with Rep. Pappas would create a national ignition interlock standard by encouraging every state to adopt a mandatory first-time ignition interlock law. The evidence is overwhelming. Ignition interlock devices reduce repeat drunk driving offenses by as much as 70% while they are installed. They stop the engine from starting when someone is impaired, and they stop families from getting the late night call that no parent, spouse, or child should ever receive. Rep. Pappas and I will also introduce a resolution again this December to recognize National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. We must continue to support legislation that make our roads and passengers safer. I'm grateful that Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety has been such a strong advocate for this bill and has chosen to highlight it in this year's Roadmap to Safety report. Your partnership helps make progress possible. Thank you again for the invitation and for your unwavering commitment to safer roads. I look forward to continuing to work with you to protect families in Kansas and across the country.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you so much to our tremendous lineup of speakers. Their expertise and experiences provide context for the urgent need to take action on the recommendations in the Roadmap report. Before we turn to questions from the press, I'd like to conclude by mentioning specific efforts as 46 states and D.C. prepare to convene their 2026 legislative sessions, and a federal surface transportation reauthorization is being considered leading up to the current law expiring in September 2026. In the states, some promising bills and efforts are already underway or anticipated, including to curb drunk driving, legislation to improve ignition interlock device laws, or IIDs, is expected in California to cover all convicted drunk driving offenders and to strengthen the ignition interlock device law in Pennsylvania, among other states. Several states, including Washington, may also consider lowering the blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, while driving to 0.05%. Upgrades to reduce distracted driving are expected in Kentucky, and we urge the legislature to enact a comprehensive bill. Legislation to permit or expand the use of automated enforcement to curb speeding and red light running have increased across the country in recent sessions and should advance because they are urgently needed. Intelligent speed assistance, or ISA, use and measures are gaining momentum, and several states will consider legislation to incentivize or require ISA use for repeat or high-speed offenders, such as New York. Improvements to spur seatbelt use are expected to be considered, including in New Jersey, as are measures to better protect child passengers in several states, including North Carolina. A few states, like Pennsylvania, will propose upgrading to all rider motorcycle helmet laws, while unfortunately, others are considering weakening or repealing this proven approach. We urge them to reject such negative efforts. On the federal level, we urge the U.S. Department of Transportation to finish the rulemakings for vehicle safety technologies, which were advanced in the bipartisan infrastructure law, including automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, impaired driving prevention technology, lane keeping assist, and occupant detection systems. In the next surface transportation reauthorization bill, we're pushing for requirements for driver monitoring or driver support systems to ensure that an aware and capable driver is behind the wheel, intelligent speed assistance to adhere to safe speeds, improvements to bicyclist and motorcyclist rider safety, effective incentives for states to upgrade their traffic safety laws, and funding so localities can improve their safety of their roadways. Also, as more vehicles are equipped with varying levels of automated driving systems, minimum safety standards are needed. Every surface transportation reauthorization in modern times has included a robust vehicle safety title, and this one should be no different, considering the death and injury toll on our roadways. Lastly, as the second half of the 119th Congress commences in January, we know there will be efforts to roll back motor vehicle safety standards for passenger vehicles and trucks. This is outrageous and must be defeated. Before we turn to questions from the media, I'd like to thank Advocate's outstanding staff for their team effort. Shane Austin, Kathy Barzy, Lisa Drew, Tara Gill, Sean Kildare, Peter Kurdock, and Omar Masood. I'd also like to commend our fantastic support team. Bill Braunrott of Braunrott Communications, Jamie Douglas of Douglas Strategic Media Arts, Doyle Printing, Kim Levinson, and Windrose Media for their contributions to the production, publication, and promotion of the report. We would now welcome questions from the press, if we have any.
We do have a few.
Great.
Okay. So this question here is from Nebraska. Can you talk a little bit about the annual cost of motor vehicle crashes and what they might include? Are the costs paid by the state, by the offender, society? And can you talk a little bit about what we recommend for Nebraska specifically to reduce deaths and create safer roadways?
Absolutely. Welcome, Nebraska. In Nebraska, the price tag of the economic cost of crashes is $1.726 billion. That's an annual cost. Some of the state laws that Nebraska needs, and there are many, it is a red danger state, include a comprehensive seatbelt law, an all-rider motorcycle helmet law, child passenger safety laws, numerous teen graduated driver licensing laws, and automated enforcement. So Nebraska has a lot of work to do. The only state laws that it does have are rear-facing through age 2 or older, an all-offender ignition interlock law, and an open container law. And then let me just add that the way that Advocates defines these comprehensive laws is explained in the report. So some states might have a secondary enforcement law. We don't count that. We want primary enforcement laws because we know that they are effective, and we know that every recommendation in this report is based by science, research, and experience. Shane, was there another? I thought that was a pretty comprehensive question. Is there anything I didn't capture there?
I think you got all of that.
Okay. If I didn't, and the person from Nebraska would like to talk some more, we would be more than glad to set up a private conversation on the record. So just contact us at
My email address?
Yeah, saustin@saferoads.org.
Okay, now we are moving to Georgia.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about the results in Georgia and what they say about the state of road safety in that state?
Absolutely. So in Georgia, there's a 10-year fatality total of 15,820 deaths. In 2024 alone, there are 1,423 people killed on the roadways. This equates to an economic cost of $18.7 billion. Georgia gets a yellow cautionary rating in the report, so it's right in the middle, which means there's a lot of room for improvement to make their roads safer. Some of the highway safety laws that they already have include a primary enforcement front seatbelt law, an all-rider motorcycle helmet law, a booster seat law, an open container law, an all-driver text messaging restriction, and automated enforcement, both for red light running and speeding. So the efforts that need improvement include a good back seat belt law, rear seat belt law, rear facing through age 2, and putting children in the back seat through age 12. Also some graduated driver licensing laws and a GDL cell restriction. So Georgia can get to work, and we are right there with you, helping in any way that we can. We know that these are proven solutions, and we know that if the Georgia leaders enact these, that there will be safety improvements on the roadways.
Okay, we're going to stay in the South. We're from Tennessee now. Can you share just an overview of the state of traffic safety in Tennessee, and if there are any bills that we know of in the upcoming legislative session that might improve that picture?
Sure. So Tennessee also receives a yellow or cautionary rating. Some of the laws that Tennessee already has are a primary enforcement front seatbelt law, an all-rider motorcycle helmet law, an all-rider ignition interlock law, an all-rider text messaging restriction, a GDL cell phone restriction, and the use of automated enforcement for speeding and red light running. And some of the laws that are needed include a primary enforcement rear seat belt law, rear facing through age 2, a booster seat law, a rear seat through age 12 law, and some graduated driver licensing provisions, as well as an open container law. In terms of legislation that might be coming up in the next session, we're in the process of collecting intelligence on that, and we'd be more than glad to work with anyone in the state to advance those efforts.
Okay, this is a little more broad. Deaths are 26% higher in 2023 than they were at their historic low in 2011. Can you talk a little bit about some of the causes of that, the contributing factors?
Yeah, absolutely. We were very concerned during the COVID pandemic, which seems to some of us like a long time ago, but it really wasn't, that when the roads emptied out, there were an increase in the dangerous driving behaviors, such as very high speeding, not wearing your seatbelt, impairment, and people being stressed behind the wheel. So when the roads repopulated to whatever the new normal became, some of those very high-risk behaviors continued. And that is in part why we are seeing this historic high of motor vehicle fatalities. The good news is that we have the proven solutions. We need the action. We need to get going to put these solutions into play so that we can stop these dangerous behaviors on our roadways. Additionally, we know that newer cars are safer cars and that some of the advanced safety technologies really can save lives, like automatic emergency braking. And we really urge the U.S. Department of Transportation not to weaken the current final rule, which would require AEB in new cars by 2029 with pedestrian detection. And this is critical. We also urge the department to improve upon that rule to include bicyclists and motorcyclists and other vulnerable road users. We know that AEB saves lives. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has done outstanding research, which demonstrates how effective these safety technologies can be. Why not make cars as safe and affordable as possible? Because when they are standard equipment in cars, you don't have to pay more for them.
Two more. This year, Louisiana dropped from green to yellow. Can you talk a little bit about the laws in Louisiana?
Absolutely, yeah, we were very disheartened. We're disheartened anytime a state drops in its rating, but in Louisiana lost credit for the texting ban and the GDL phone ban under a new distracted driving law. In terms of weakening the texting ban enforcement, enforcement regressed from primary to secondary enforcement, except for school and work zones. And the minors phone ban was also repealed, so that is why Louisiana's overall rating dropped.
One more. California seems to be on the cusp of a green rating. Can we talk about what they can do to improve their score?
Absolutely. Earlier it was mentioned about how California has been working to improve its graduated driver licensing law, and we want to see more improvements on GDL, including a 70-hour supervised driving provision, a nighttime driving provision, a passenger restriction, and as well as all offender ignition interlocks and a GDL cell phone restriction. Additionally, what California could do is improve its child passenger safety law to require children through age 12 to be in the back seat. So it's true, California is very close to getting a green rating. We stand with California, as we always do, to try to improve these laws, and we really are feeling confident that we can do so next year.
One more. So in Texas, we hear a lot about, it's a big state. We hear a lot about speeding and deaths in Texas. Can you give us a sense of what Texas can do?
Absolutely, yes. Texas speed limits have been on the rise, and that's never a good indicator because we know that people exceed speed limits. So when speed limits go up, people are driving even faster, and you can't avoid the law of physics. If you're driving faster, crashes will be more catastrophic and deadly. So we would like to see speed limits reduced, for one. We don't rate on that in the report, but it is an issue that we work on. Additionally, Texas, which does receive a yellow or cautionary rating, could enact an all-rider motorcycle helmet law, rear-facing through age 2 or older law, rear seatbelt through age 12 law, and then some of the GDL provisions are definitely needed, as well as allowing the use of automated enforcement for red light running and speed.
And that's all of our questions.
Okay. Well, thank you again to this wonderful panel for giving your heart, your time, and your expertise to this excellent event. Again, thank you for everyone who tuned in. We really encourage you to look at our report. It's on our website, saferoads.org, and you can also contact us if you would like a copy of it, and that information is on our website as well. Thank you so much to everyone here, and drive safely.